Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm super excited because we are making one of my all-time favorites, a classic chocolate honey cake, also known as Spartak. This cake is so soft, moist and chocolatey, with a delicious hint of creaminess from the frosting that's simply irresistible. While this cake can be a bit time-consuming, trust me, it's totally worth the effort. The moment you take the first bite, you will be hooked and will want to eat it more and more. So grab your apron, roll up your sleeves, and let's dive in and make this delicious cake together. First, we are going to start with the frosting so it has time to cool while we're making the layers. In a medium saucepan, add 300 ml of milk and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Place the saucepan on medium heat and let the milk heat up until it starts to simmer, but don't let it boil. While the milk is heating up, grab a bowl and crack in 1 egg. Add 230 grams of sugar and whisk it together until the mixture is smooth and the sugar is fully dissolved. Next, we will add 40 grams of cornstarch to the egg sugar mixture. To help it combine better, take a bit of milk from the saucepan and pour it into the egg mixture, just enough to loosen it up. Stir it well so there are no lumps. You want everything to be completely smooth. Once your milk is simmering, slowly pour it into the egg mixture, whisking constantly. This helps to prevent the eggs from scrambling. Now add 100 grams of sour cream and mix it in. Make sure your sour cream is fresh, as using older sour cream may cause lumps to form. After it's all combined, pour the mixture back into the saucepan and return it to the heat. Stir it constantly and keep an eye on it. You will notice it thickens up, and once it starts to bubbling, turn the heat off. At this point, add 100 grams of butter to the thickened mixture. Stir it in until the butter is fully melted and the mixture is smooth and shiny. Now, to make sure the frosting is extra smooth with no lumps, pour it through a fine mesh sieve into a clean bowl, or you can use a blender for a really smooth texture. Cover the frosting with plastic wrap, pressing it directly onto the surface of the frosting to prevent the skin from forming. Pop it in the fridge and let it cool completely while we move on to the cake layers. For the cake layers, grab a saucepan and crack in 3 eggs. Add 260 grams of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Whisk it on together until everything is smooth and the sugar is dissolved. Next, let's bring in the chocolatey goodness. Add 60 grams of cacao powder and 3 tablespoons of honey. Stir it in until it's fully combined, and you will start to see that beautiful chocolate color. Next, add 120 grams of butter straight into the mixture, no need to melt it. Place the saucepan over medium heat and make sure to stir constantly. We want everything to mix together without letting it boil. Keep stirring until the butter is fully incorporated and the mixture is smooth. Once everything is well combined, add in 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Give it a good stir. You will notice the mixture starting to bubble a bit. That's the baking soda doing its job. Sometimes your mixture may not become foamy as quickly as you'd like. If that happens, just place it over low heat to speed up the process. Now gradually sift in 350 grams of flour in 2 parts. Stir it in well, and once it's all combined, you will have a dough that looks sticky and paste-like. Sprinkle another 80 grams of flour onto your counter and place the dough onto it. Start kneading the dough on the floured surface. Don't add any more flour. You want the dough to stay a little sticky but still easy to work with. As you can see, I don't use all the flour at once. I mostly cover the dough with it as I knead until it's smooth, very soft and slightly sticky to the touch. Once the dough is ready, shape it into a log and generously cover it with flour. Then divide the dough into 8 equal portions. Shape each portion into a ball and lightly dust them with flour to prevent sticking. Place each dough ball onto a dusted plate. Cover them with plastic wrap and pop them in the fridge to rest for at least 1 hour. The dough will cool down and become more stable, and it will feel harder to detach after resting. Now that the dough has rested and cooled down, it's time to roll it out into the layers. Take one piece of dough out of the fridge and place it on well-floured surface. Then return the rest of the dough to the fridge. Using plenty of flour, start rolling the dough out into a thin circle. Don't worry about making it perfect, just focus on keeping the thickness even. As you roll, flip the dough often and add more flour to prevent it from sticking. My circle is about 12 inches in diameter, but don't worry about the exact size right now. Just make sure it's not too thick and it's larger than your desired final size. I'm making an 8-inch cake, so I'm aiming a bigger circle. Once it's rolled out, use a scraper to carefully transfer the dough onto a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Then use a fork to make a few small pokes on top of the dough. This helps it bake evenly. Place the baking sheet in the oven preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and bake for about 6 minutes. For the first layer, keep an eye on it, since every oven is different. You don't want it to burn. The edges should just start to get darker, and that means it's ready. When the layer is done, take it out of the oven and immediately trim it to your desired size. I'm trimming mine to 8 inches. Keep the trimming because we will need them later. Then carefully use a spatula to transfer the layer onto a cooling rack. Be gentle, as the layer is soft when it's hot, but it will firm up as it cools. Repeat the process with the rest of the dough. You can roll out each piece of dough while the other layer is baking to speed up the process and finish faster. When all your layers are ready, let's finish making the frosting. Take a bowl, I'm using my stand mixer bowl, and add 250 grams of heavy cream. Beat it on medium speed until it thickens and forms stiff peaks. While the cream is whipping, take your custard out of the fridge. By now it should be cool and stable with a silky and smooth consistency. Once your heavy cream is ready, add the custard to it and mix on low speed until it's fully combined. After that, give it one last gentle mix with a spatula to make sure everything is well incorporated and there are no lumps. Now, your fluffy frosting is ready to assemble the cake. Start by placing your first layer of cake onto a serving platter or cake stand. Before you do that, add a small amount of frosting to the plate so the cake won't slide around as you assemble. Next, add about 106 grams of frosting on top of the first layer. Spread it evenly all the way to the edges. Place the next layer of cake on top and repeat the process, adding frosting between each layer. Make sure to cover both the top and sides of the cake with frosting as you go. Don't forget to gently press down on each layer to help it soak in the frosting batter. Once all your layers are stacked, cover the entire cake with frosting. Using a spatula, spread the frosting along the edges to ensure they are nicely coated. You can smooth it out for a clean, polished look or leave it with some texture for a more rustic finish. Once your cake is fully frosted, cover the edges with parchment paper and gently press a cake ring around the sides. Then cover the top of the cake with plastic wrap. If you don't have a cake ring, don't worry. Simply cover the entire cake with plastic wrap instead. Place the cake in the fridge to rest overnight. It needed at least 8 hours to set, but 12 hours or more is even better, as it helps the flavor develop and allows the frosting to fully set. The next day, after your cake has rested, take the leftover cake trimming and crumble them into small pieces to create the crumbs. You can use a blender, food processor, or simply place the trimming in a zip bag and crush them with a rolling pin. Once your crumbs are ready, carefully remove the cake from the cake ring and parchment paper. Now take your prepared crumbs and gently press them onto the sides and top of the cake, depending on how much texture you want. You can coat the entire cake with the crumbs or just focus on top or sides for a more elegant finish. Use your hands or a spatula to gently press the crumbs in place. When you're done, clean up the edges of the cake with a brush for a neat look. You can also add some berries, fruits, or any other decoration you like to make the cake even more beautiful. And now you're all set. You've just baked this amazing chocolate honey cake Spartak from scratch. Slice it up, serve, and enjoy the soft, moist layers and creamy frosting. If you loved this recipe, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more tasty recipes like this one. I'd love to hear how your cake turned out, so drop a comment below to share your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.